bases in Iraq. Why do you think it believed that the risk was worthwhile?
Well, I mean, the Turkish reprisals, as you mentioned, happened only after the attacks started by the PKK, and they broke this fragile ceasefire that was going on with the peace process. And then, of course, they must have realized that there would be reprisals, so there was a two-pronged approach of attacking PKK strongholds in northern Iraq, ISIS positions in Syria, and at the same time carrying out operations within Turkey, arresting scores of people belonging to PKK and its other affiliate organizations, like the one that carried out the attack on the US consulate this morning, and as well as arresting ISIS members. So they've tried to carry it out as a two-pronged approach. But obviously, I think, some backlashes were expected.
Yeah, some critics say that that is the wrong approach, that the focus should have been on ISIL, and that the Turkish government was using the airstrikes on ISIL as almost a cover for then attacking PKK targets.
Well, no, because the Turkish government have actually said over and over again that they view both ISIL and the PKK as equal terrorist threats and equal security threats. So that's why they've carried out these operations. And there have been attacks, both the first attack by ISIL on Turkish soil happened with the Surge incident, followed by the attacks by the PKK. But actually, even before the Surge bombing, the civilian part of the PKK, the KCK announced that they would be breaking the ceasefire. So, the breaking of the ceasefire happened on one side, and then came these reprisals. So, I mean, there's lots of speculations about how much politics there are in this, but, the Kurdish party, the HDP, have also used a lot for their own political material as well. So, all sides are obviously using this for political matters, but I think, the reprisals are not political. They're actually, military state responses to a terrorist organization that doesn't recognize the legitimacy of the state.
All right. Well, how do you think, speaking of politics, how do you think this latest violence is actually going to affect those political talks that are ongoing at the moment? Turkey, of course, has to form some sort of coalition government by the end of August. Is this violence going to be affecting the talks that are taking place?
Well, the talks are still taking place, so there is a period whereby either a coalition is announced by the 23rd of August, or Turkey will have to go to early elections. And if that happens, it's the timing, I think, which is an issue here, rather than the expected or unexpected result, or what will happen after such elections, because the longer you have a period of uncertainty, the more instability it causes. But that being said, we haven't heard anything yet from the coalition talks, so we don't know what's going to come out of those. But obviously the other political part here is the peace process. All the political parties except the Nationalist Party have said that there should be some return to the peace process, but it's very unclear at this point as to who is going to be negotiating with whom. And I think that is the problem that the Kurdish party have put themselves up against by recently demanding that Öcalan, who is the former leader of the PKK organization, who is currently serving a life sentence, be actually freed and given a negotiator status. Frankly, I really don't think, apart from the HDP, any party is going to accept that. So, I mean, it's very difficult to sort of figure out how negotiations, if they ever happen, and go back to that, will happen. For the time being, the PKK seem to be very unwilling to lay down arms. They've actually, the civilian side have made demands that seem to be very unrealistic. And as long as that happens, I think the reprisals by the Turkish military and the police and the intelligence will continue.
It's a very unstable, very unstable situation at the moment.
There's also the complication, of course, what's happening. It's not just within Turkey, across the border. I mean, you mentioned the YPG, which is a Kurdish Syrian organization, and they've been very useful to the United States as ground forces for their airstrikes. But they're also very closely affiliated to the PKK, which is armed against the Turkish state and is recognized as a terrorist organization by the United States. So this is making the picture much more complicated, as the leader of the Kurdistan Regional Government in northern Iraq, Masoud Barzani, asked the PKK to actually leave